All right, my friends, let's get started. Two back-to-back blockbuster videos for you today, the first of which is This Is War. You see it on your screen. Trump just released January 6th witch hunt counteroffensive strategy. We're going to give you all the talking points and what they're expected to do as the trial is set to begin this week. As many of you are familiar, the trial, the January 6th commission presentation, the show, call it what you will, get your popcorn. This one's going to be interesting, followed immediately by Biden explodes in storm of rage over what was just released. I know many of you are going to enjoy this video with the utmost certainty. Now, before we get started, a couple favors. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you haven't gotten Restricted Republic yet, what are you waiting for? It's all the videos we can't present here, and trust me, that catalog is growing daily with the new items they come up with that can no longer be talked about. Very telling of what the agenda would be. And if you could find it in your heart to support me so I can continue to bring you this news, then please simply click the join button. You see it here on the middle of your screen. I'll circle it real quick. 2 levels of support right now. A supporter or a contributor. That's going to put your comments at the top of the list that I see so I know I can comment on them faster. Gives you some special emojis. I'll be improving that over time. Or you can go up to the contributor level. Very special offer for new subscribers at Restricted Republic. Take advantage of that. You need to get there. But now let's get back to this headline news. So here we go. That counteroffensive strategy in preparation for the trial that begins this week. Call it what you will. Many names for it, I'm sure. GOP to go on offensive, portray January 6th probe as unconstitutional and illegitimate. One of the headlines I read. If you didn't get the background on what's happening, this trophy hunt, as I called it yesterday, go back and watch this video. It'll tell you everything you need to know. As Democrats ramp up hearings and secure a second Trump advisor's arrest for contempt, Republicans are finally launching a counteroffensive to the January 6th committee designed to portray the investigation as unconstitutional and illegitimate, and to put a focus on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's failures in protecting the Capitol. Now, my opinion on that would be that strategy may be a little washed up, although not inaccurate. Nonetheless, something that is an old talking point. So right off the bat, so far, not the greatest strategy I've seen. Elise Stefanik, though, is the one who's presenting the majority of this strategy. She has stated, "We're working very closely with President Trump and his team with leader Kevin McCarthy." Another concern there. You saw Trump just give McCarthy his endorsement, but now you probably understand why he needs him through this period. With Jim Jordan and really all the House Republicans will be pushing back in a rapid response fashion, which to me means you're going to see a lot more interviews coming out, but I'll let her go further. You'll see us all over the airwaves. We'll be setting the record straight. We'll be telling the truth to the American people, sharing the facts, and also really pointing out how unprecedented and unconstitutional and illegitimate this committee is. I'm sure she's going to find wide-reaching support for that statement. Breitbart did an amazing article, did an interview with her, an exclusive interview. Elise Stefanik, GOP ready to provide counter-programming to illegitimate January 6th hearing. Going forward, Stefanik said the committee is about nothing more than punishing political opponents and targeting patriotic Trump supporters. Well, hasn't that been the case, since this administration walked into the office? Further, she noted that it does not even address the actual issue, to make sure the U.S. Capitol has adequate security. Meanwhile, she said Americans are dealing with rampant inflation, high gas prices, a border crisis, a baby formula crisis. It is going to be both a circus and a political witch hunt. That, according to Stefanik. Now, you know that there's been many maneuvers happening. The arrest of many close to Trump has been happening for some time. Yesterday, the announcement, Enrique Tarrio and Proud Boys members charged with seditious conspiracy for alleged January 6 crimes. Some would call this timing suspect in the timing as it relates to the trial that's coming up later this week. What's your opinion? Look forward to seeing it in the comments. January 6th hearing begins this week with challenge to capture public's attention. They have a problem. I have a big problem. I'm going to show you some statistics. Actually, let's just jump right into them. Fewer Americans now say Trump bears a lot of responsibility for the January 6th riot. This is a Pew Research study coming out, and it shows that January of 21, 52% of people felt Trump had a lot of the blame. Now it's down to 43%. That is not something the Democrats wanted to see. So what do? They're going to try to, spiff up this process a little bit. January 6th committee secret advisor now announced. The House January 6th committee has turned to a renowned former network news executive to hone a mountain of explosive material into a captivating multimedia presentation for a primetime hearing Thursday. Now you see why so many call this a show trial in so many ways. It's what they're doing. They're stating it themselves. James Goldston, former president of ABC News and a master documentary storyteller who ran Good Morning America and Nightline, has joined the committee as an unannounced advisor, Axiom has learned. The House January 6th committee has turned to a renowned former network news executive to hone a mountain of explosive material into a captivating multimedia presentation for a primetime hearing Thursday. James Goldston, former president of ABC News and a master documentary storyteller who ran Good Morning America and Nightline, has joined the committee as an unannounced advisor. It appears they want to make sure this is presented perfectly, give it some glitz, give it some glamour, this witch hunt that's going on right now. Why it matters? I'm told Goldston is busily producing Thursday's 8 p.m. Eastern Time hearing as if it were a blockbuster investigative special. I thought this was about the facts of what they had determined through all those interviews. I thought this was about, due process. Of course, we know nothing about this has been about due process. He plans to make it raw enough so that skeptical journalists will find the material fresh and chew over the disclosures in future coverages. And he wants it to draw the eyeballs of Americans who haven't followed the ins and outs of the Capitol riot probe. I am certain many more have followed the ins and outs of the Capitol riot probe. It has captivated audiences for months now. Goldston is shaping a massive trove. The hearing will be a mix of live witnesses and pre-produced video. I'm told the committee has gained access to official White House photographs from January 6th of 2021 that have never been seen publicly. Only a fraction of the surveillance footage from inside the Capitol, all kinds of angles were captured, have been shown to date. Many of the committee's depositions were videotaped. We'll see clips. Those won't be, put into the right sequence to give them the highest impact, will they? Maybe potentially pulling something out of context? It's ridiculous when you see what they're doing. But back to that Breitbart article and that interview. Stefanik, Democrats are doubling down, looking for any desperate attempt to try to change the narrative. But look, the American people are smart. They see through this. They want a Congress that's focused on the issues that matter to them. Congress hasn't been focused on the issues that matter to them for a long, long time. No, they've been engaged in witch hunt after witch hunt, the real cost of Russiagate going on in this article. This is an exceedingly grave danger because the real costs of Russiagate are not the estimated 25 to 40 million spent on the Mueller investigation, but the corrosive damage it has already done to the institutions of American democracy. Damage done by an alleged Trump-Putin axis, but Russiagate's perpetrators themselves. Well, it's a bigger story than that. It's the fact that rather than doing their job, they're spending our tax dollars on their own frivolous witch hunts to, of course, as we know, perfect timing for the midterm elections will bolster one party, at least that's their hopes. We're going to see what happens. Stefanik comes back out, but similar to impeachment sham 1 and really impeachment sham 2, just out there every single day. Number 1, talking about issues that matter to the American people. They don't care about that, and we'll say that time and time again. But number 2, prosecuting the case against House Speaker Pelosi, Democrats, and Liz Cheney have failed this country. And they failed to focus on the issue. If they want to talk about securing the Capitol, which they refuse to, they have failed to do that job, Stefanik said, adding that they have instead continued to shred constitutional precedents. And haven't we seen that time and time again? January 6th committee's true goal is revealed. Liz Cheney made a deal with the devil. That's right, one of the Republicans, or Rhino, sitting on that panel. Well, she may have to commit to something that a lot of people won't be very happy about. She's the only Republican sitting on it who's deluded enough to think she has a chance at winning re-election after carrying water for Pelosi and the unholy coalition of special grievance groups that make up her Democratic Party. I love that wording there. Had to present that. Purpose of the January 6th committee. Mark Levin posts this. Imprison Trump. Destroy the Electoral College. Did you know that was a part of this all? Did you know that was a part of the effort? And nationalize the voting system. As Axios reported on Sunday, one of the most vocal Democrats on the committee, Jamie Raskin, I'm sure one of your personal favorites, not mine, of Maryland is pushing the panel to recommend the country abolish the Electoral College. What's the irony of that? Well, Liz Cheney's state would no longer be represented the way the founders had come up with this. So her very constituency, she is working with a panel that will move against their own representation in the voting system. They'll just get gobbled up by the giants in New York and California that they give here. But does she truly care? Nah, they care about one thing, their trophy, Trump. They have shred Congress as an institution, and they are invading on the privacy and really the speech and debate rights of all these elected members of Congress, she said. And they're targeting everyday citizens, young staffers who worked on the Trump campaign. It's outrageous. These legal bills for these staffers are bankrupting these young families. She'll be out there leading every single day. She guaranteed. The left is and has been vile. They have targeted me so much as in a vicious, vicious way. And I'm going to stand up for my constituents and the American people and continue to speak the truth and work with all the House of Representatives, including, again, Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan, to make sure these facts are out there for the American people. They're going to hit the airwaves. They're going to do interviews. They're going to counter it through, unfortunately, what appears to be similar talking points that they presented before. How effective that will be, we have yet to be seen because we don't know yet what the committee will be presenting. But I assure you, it will be. It will be highly produced. Noting that Pelosi's office is the only one off limits and that she bears responsibility for the security posture. She goes back to that point again. So you see what they're going to be focusing on. Will that be effective enough to overcome so much of what people are concerned about? Americans are moving on from January 6th, even if Congress hasn't. But it appears people on both sides, if you believe there is still two sides of the aisle, maybe very limited exceptions, are not moving on. Of course, you can't blame the Republicans. They have to take a stance and defend Trump. As far as the Democrats go, we've seen this song and dance before. And we know what it cost us. And we know what the result will be. But how far will they go? What depths will they reach to paint the gloomy, dire, desperate picture that they so want to portray? Well, that we are about to see here in a couple days. Remember, we'll tune in for you so you don't have to, because I don't know how many out there would actually have the stomach to watch the show, presentation, or, as they said in the article, witch hunt. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.